Okay, let's get this started. Welcome to API the Docs. So this year we sold out, which is amazing. And it's a pleasure to see so many people flying in from a bunch of different places and showing how important API documentation is. So I'm really excited to see all of you here. So first, maybe a quick word, like who's here new? Who's here first time? Wow, that's amazing. So what is API the Docs? So API the Docs is a conference series that we started as a spin-off of the Write the Docs community because we've been going to Write the Docs for quite a while, and people were always asking about API documentation. So like I would do like an unconference track at Write the Docs, and it would be all these people like, we need to know more because we need to make a dev portal and we need more information because what's out there is not enough. And then also people were looking at the program and were like, well, there's 3 API talks, so that's already quite interesting, but we still want more. So that's why we decided to do this series. And the way it started was I was organizing for a while Write the Docs in London, the meetup, and Rosalie Marshall, who's working at GDS, she showed up at one of our meetups, and she was like, I would like to do some more like an event about API documentation. It's like, yes! And then we organized that together with GDS, like a first full day event. And that was a great success. So then we started doing it again. We did, I think it was the second one here. Second one was in London. And then in Amsterdam, together with Koen. Yeah, my memory is bad. So we've had a few tracks in different places. We had our first conference in Chicago also this year, and we decided. And thank you, Koen, for doing this rodeo again with us, and for being our event host again this year. Now, I'm super excited about the program, but because I think we have a really awesome speaker list, but I'm also really excited about those empty slots for tomorrow. Who here is still doubting if they're going to be here tomorrow? You can still come, probably, maybe. So, have you ever been? Who here has been at an unconference? Okay, that's not that much actually. So. This is a bit weird, the first time you're doing this, because it's kind of like you don't have a program. But for me, at least, every time I've done an unconference, it's blown me away. Like the quality of discussions you have, talks are great. Don't get me wrong. Our speakers have put a lot of effort in making really awesome talks with lots of information. They've thought this through and prepared something that's like prepackaged. And that's really valuable. But what I've seen is that when you start to talk with your peers about subjects that you can influence yourself, and you can have open conversations about all the problems that you're having without having to go on stage and say like, hey, we have a problem. Is there anybody in the room? Is there a doctor in the room? I think it's just magical. So if you're still doubting, you really need to be here. It's I hope I'm not overselling it because it's always a little bit of a risky thing. but I think with this audience and this subject, because it's really focused and there's a lot of people that have knowledge here in this room that other people might need, and vice versa. I think it's going to be really, really good. So make sure you're here because this is really important. Next, we have a code of conduct. We inherited one from the Write the Docs community. Very basically, it means be friendly and warm and welcoming to other people. be a bit careful in what you're saying. Try to make sure that people don't feel uncomfortable, and be respectful. It's and if there's a problem, if somebody is not behaving the way that you would expect people to behave, then you can come to me or Laura, Zolly, Sven. You also, yeah. So we have some of the organizers. If it's me, then go to Laura. I'd like to thank the sponsors. So first of all, ABN AMRO. Without you, it wouldn't be possible this time around, for sure. For providing the venue, for helping with the catering, and for generally. But Koen will do a short word a little bit later. So thank you for that. Also like to thank Build Guides for being a bronze sponsor. And then Manning Publishing. If you're not familiar with them, we'll have a raffle at the end of the day with a couple of books. It's what's the title? It's you'll see. Kati will tell. It's a really interesting one. It's about API design. It's but more about that later. And then we're the organizers, Pronovix, and the Right to Docs community for inspiring us to do this and for helping us with getting the momentum to get the community started. I'll talk a little bit about our team in a moment. I also like to thank the committee that selected the talks. Abby, you're here. Yeah, thank you, Abby. Laura. So then Adam Devander, I don't think he made it, and Daniel Beck also couldn't make it. Yeah, and Michael Mang. So they're people from the community. You'll see in the talks, there's something kind of funny that we have 3 talks from the same company. That's not on purpose. It was a blind selection. We just took the talks as they came, and also the committee. It's like Laura is representing our company, but we on purpose do it in a way that is as neutral as possible, where we don't give preference to our customers or our vendors or anything like that. We try to run a community event and make it as open as possible. I'd like to thank the communities because we're part of quite a few communities. Some of them that also help us with promoting the event. I don't know if you know all the pictures. The weird one, which one do you not know? The cyclone thing? Yeah. That's the inner sourcing community. Oh. It's if you haven't heard of it, it's a really, really cool community. It's fairly small. And it's large companies that come together to talk about how they can change their culture to be more like the open source community inside of their company. It's really cool. It's if you're looking for a way to create more collaboration in a large enterprise, inner sourcing is a very, very good place to look at. But come and ask me about it, or we can do a session about it tomorrow. Dita for the hearts, the diehards. I'd like to thank our team, and especially Kati. Where is Kati? She is at the desk. Who did the lion's share of the organizing for this event. I didn't do anything this time. It's only because of Kati that we can do this. But also my colleagues, we run this as a community event. We charge a little bit, but it's not for profit. We try to make it something that's as open as possible, where even if you're a competitor of ours, we do developer portals, guilty as charged. But we try to run an open community where everybody's welcome, even if we don't totally agree with your way of looking at things. If we want to learn, we have to have as many people as possible with as diverse an opinion as possible. And but we, as our team, is sponsoring Kati's work and Zolly's work, and everybody else who's helping with this. I'd like to do a big shout out for them. Coming up next, we'll have a docs track at API Days in Paris. That's on the 10th of December. The CFP is still open, so if you have some interesting talk, please go and submit. API Days is a cool event. It's pretty big. They've granted us a track, a couple of, I think it's the second year now, or the third year, so, yeah. Also, there will be the Dev Portal Awards. That's going to be tomorrow. Some of you are maybe nominees, so excitement is brewing. It's something that we started because our mission has been to create shared learning and to get everybody to, we were looking at the scene, at the API documentation scene and Dev Portal scene, and it felt like most of the thought leadership that was happening were a couple of startups that were talking about their own documentation as a way to do DevRel, which is great, but it meant that a whole big aspect, like internal APIs, enterprise APIs, nobody was talking really about that much. So what we wanted to do was to drive the shared learning and understanding of our community by bringing you all together and creating this event. Also in our content, like if you're on newsletter, we do that kind of stuff. And the Dev Portal Awards is an extension of that, where we looked at what are the topics, what are the kind of things that are really important to have on the developer portal, what's missing. Like for example, accessibility. I don't know if you've seen the news about Domino's Pizza. It's coming, right? No. They have APIs, but they have there was a court case now about a blind person not being able to order pizza on their website. And I think it's now, I don't know where it is, but it was in the international news. So this is for public-facing websites, but this is also coming for dev portals. And if you need a stake to beat you to get it done, then that's one reason. Or you could do it for the humanitarian reason, like being nice to people and making sure that everybody has a way to work with your APIs. It could be another reason. That's one of the topics. But there's a couple of others, and you'll see that in the awards. So definitely stay around to see those. Another reason to stay tomorrow. And then last, we have a newsletter. If you're not on there yet, go and have a look. It's so we have the Dev Portal newsletter where we publish our research, and when we don't have inspiration, articles from the community. And then there's also API the Docs newsletter, which is about the events that we're running, if you want to get an update about that. So subscribe.